All right, time to pop open a deep dive, and this time we're all about Glera. Yeah, no, the grape behind Prosecco, that bubbly superstar.
Ooh, I love a good bubbly.
We've got tons of research ready to go. Like, we're talking Glera's mysterious past, all the way to, like, its global impact today. But first, I'm curious, Prosecco the drink, sure,
Of course.
but how much do we actually know about Glera, the grape itself?
You know what? That is a great question. It really is easy to get caught up in like the celebratory fizz and not think twice about the grape making it all possible.
Exactly, and that's why we're here. To first things first, let's untangle this whole name game, Glera versus Prosecco. I hear it used to be a bit confusing.
It really was. You see, for the longest time, Prosecco was the name of both the grape and the region where it was grown.
I see.
So that obviously created, some issues, especially when they wanted to protect, Prosecco as a unique product.
So Italy had to step in, make a change.
Exactly. In 2009, they officially said, okay, the grape, that's Glera now. Prosecco is just for the wine, specifically sparkling wine from those special regions.
Ah, like champagne. Can only call it champagne if it's, well, from Champagne, France.
You got it. It's all about protecting that, that regional identity. Consumers got to know they're getting the real deal.
Right, right. Okay, so then any bubbly made with Glera, that's automatically Prosecco.
Not so fast. Glera is the main grape, for sure. But there are rules, regulations, all about where it's grown, how it's made, if it wants that fancy DOC or DOCG label on the bottle.
Gotcha. Starting to see how the pieces fit. But hold on, before we get too deep in the label weeds,
Sure.
I read Glera can do more than just bubbles. Other wine styles too, is that right?
Absolutely right. Prosecco Espumante, that's the sparkling star, we all know it. But Glera, this grape is surprisingly versatile. It can also make still wines, they call them tranquillo, and even lightly sparkling ones, the frizzante.
No way. See, this is what I love about these deep dives. Total Glera newbie over here. Okay, let's pop open some history then. What's the origin story of this grape? Where does Glera even come from?
It's actually a bit of a mystery. Some think it could go all the way back to Roman times. There are theories linking it to grapes mentioned by, like, Pliny the Elder, those Roman writers.
Whoa, so Glera, sipped by emperors and gladiators. That's a cool thought.
It is. But the first time we see Glera, like we know it today, that's 1772, writings of this Italian scholar, Francesco Maria Malvolti, that's where the story gets, a bit clearer.
Can't forget those Italian immigrants too, right? Spreading Glera around the world.
Oh, absolutely. As they moved to places like Brazil, the Americas, they brought their Glera vines with them. That's why today we see places like Saragossa in Brazil booming with Glera vineyards.
It's a good reminder. Wine's not just like grapes and dirt. It's people. It's their stories too. Okay, let's talk terroir, that sense of place. Huge for any wine, right? What are the Glera hotspots? And how does terroir change the final product?
Excellent question. And it highlights something crucial. Not all Prosecco is created equal. Just like any wine, where that Glera grows, it makes all the difference in how it tastes.
So we're talking climate, soil, that altitude, all those things adding up to like a fingerprint of the place.
Exactly. Think of it this way. A Glera grape from those cool, hilly vineyards of Conegliano Valdobbiadene in Veneto, Italy. Totally different personality compared to one grown in, say, the warmer, sun-drenched Saragossa in Brazil.
Oh, I see. So one region gives you like a zesty, citrusy Prosecco. Another one maybe more floral, richer, all thanks to terroir.
You got it. And even within Italy, there are distinct differences between Prosecco from Conegliano Valdobbiadene and Asolo, both DOCG areas. The former is known for elegant and complex Prosecco, while the latter tends towards a lighter, more refreshing style.
Wow. So much going on in just one grape. Sounds like a Prosecco for everyone out there. Okay, let's step into the vineyard for a sec. What are the Glera growing essentials? All the stuff that goes into making those perfect Prosecco grapes. I'm fascinated by that.
Well, first you got to understand. High-quality Prosecco from Glera, it's all about balance. Producers are constantly walking that tightrope between, getting a good yield, but keeping the grapes flavorful and, true to themselves.
I bet pruning is key to that. What are some of the techniques they use on Glera?
You're right, pruning is essential. It's how they control the vine's growth, how much fruit it makes. Two big names you'll hear are guyot and spurred cordon. Guyot is all about training those long canes along wires, while spurred cordon is more about shorter spurs with fewer buds.
So choosing one over the other, that affects how many grapes you get, and that changes the wine, right?
Absolutely. And then there's how they train the vines themselves. Espalier, that's where they're trained flat along a plane. Or pergola, a more traditional way, the vines grow overhead.
Sounds like a real art to growing Glera. So much to consider. But I'm guessing there are challenges too, right? Not all sunshine and roses.
Like any grape, Glera has its weaknesses. Late frosts, that's a big one, can damage those delicate buds, really impact the harvest.
Yeah, I bet that keeps growers up at night, especially in places where spring weather is, well, unpredictable.
For sure. And another challenge that never goes away is managing yields. To protect quality, you might want to let the vines go wild and produce a ton, but overcropping, that dilutes the flavors. The wine ends up less complex.
Right, so it's that balance again. Lots of fruit versus top-notch quality. The kind that makes Prosecco, well, Prosecco. And speaking of, we can't ignore sustainability, can we? It's everywhere these days. What are some eco-friendly practices they're using in Glera vineyards?
You're right. Sustainability is huge. It's not just a fad anymore. It's at the core of a lot of what Glare producers do now. Big focus on environmentally friendly practices like integrated pest management. That's
Yeah.
about using fewer nasty pesticides.
What about water? That's a big deal in lots of wine regions.
Absolutely. Using water responsibly is key, especially in drier areas. More and more Glare growers are turning to things like drip irrigation. That way, water goes straight to the roots, less waste, more efficient use of, well, a very precious resource.
Sounds like Glera folks are really stepping up, making sustainability a priority. Now let's follow those precious Glera grapes out of the vineyard and into the winery. What's next on the journey from grape to glass?
This is where the magic happens. The vinification, it all starts with the harvest. Got to pick those grapes at peak ripeness. That's when you get that perfect sugar, acidity, flavor, the whole shebang.
And I'm guessing every step is super careful. Got to protect that quality.
You bet. After harvest, they gently press the grapes. Extract the juice without getting any harsh stuff from the skins or seeds. That's crucial. For Prosecco, we want delicate, refreshing, not a tannin bomb.
Right, so we're not looking for those big, bold tannins you'd find in, like, a Cabernet Sauvignon, for example.
Exactly. Lightness and vibrancy, that's what Glare is all about. Then that juice goes through fermentation, where yeast turns sugar into alcohol.
And I bet temperature is crucial here, right?
Oh, it is. By carefully controlling the temperature during fermentation, the winemaker can really shape the aromas and flavors that develop.
Like a conductor, leading the orchestra of, well, grape juice becoming wine. Now, for Prosecco, there's that extra step, right? The bubbles. Tell me about the Charmat method.
The Charmat method, or sometimes called the Martinati method, that's the secret to Prosecco's sparkle. Unlike champagne, where the second fermentation happens right in the bottle, Charmat does it in these big pressurized tanks called autoclaves.
Okay, interesting. Why choose Charmat over the traditional way?
Well, a few reasons. First, it's just more efficient. You can make way more Prosecco this way.
Makes sense with how popular Prosecco is these days.
Exactly. And maybe even more importantly, Charmat helps lock in those fresh, fruity aromas that Glera is known for.
So it's like bottling the essence of those grapes fresh off the vine. Makes sense why Prosecco has that vibrant, easy drinking style. But wait, not all Prosecco is the same, is it? I've seen those labels, a DOC, DOCG. What's the deal with those?
You're sharp. There's definitely a hierarchy in the Prosecco world. So DOC stands for Denominazione di Origine Controllata. Basically, it's a quality guarantee. It tells you the wine is from a specific place and follows certain rules when they make it.
So DOC on the label means authentic, certain level of quality, I can trust it.
Exactly. Now, DOCG, that's Denominazione di Origine Controllata Garantita. This is the top tier, the VIP section of Italian wines.
Like the best of the best Prosecco.
You got it. DOCG Prosecco, it comes from even more specific places like Conegliano Valdobia d'Ain and Asolo, and has to pass stricter rules and taste tests.
Okay, so those DOCG labels, they're a sign of top-notch quality, real expression of terroir. I'm ready to hear all about the different Prosecco styles and what makes them unique. But first, something's been bugging me since we talked about those DOCG labels, Conegliano Valdobia d'Ain. Aren't those hillside vineyards?
Wow, you have a great memory. That's exactly right. That's a big part of what makes Prosecco superior, the wines from those DOCG areas, so special. Hillside vineyards mean lots of hard work, often by hand. It's tough to use machines on those slopes.
So each bottle has a little extra love in it. Okay, now I'm really ready for that sensory journey. What should I look for when I'm tasting Prosecco?
Let's paint a picture. You pour yourself a glass. What do you see?
I see like a pale straw yellow, maybe with a little bit of green in there, like a field in spring. And of course, all those beautiful bubbles rising up, never stopping.
Perfect. Those tiny, long-lasting bubbles, that's a sign of good Prosecco. They give you that lovely fizz that dances on your tongue. All right, now take a sniff. What do you smell?
Ooh, I'm getting fresh fruit, green apple, pear, maybe a touch white peach too, and under that something floral like a hint of honeysuckle or maybe acacia.
Spot on. Those are classic Prosecco aromas. Now, depending on the style, the winemaker's choices, you might also get citrus, melon, almond, even a bit of toasted bread.
Now for the main event, the taste. What makes Prosecco's flavor special?
Prosecco is all about being light and refreshing, with a bright acidity that balances any sweetness. You'll usually taste those same things we smelled: green apple, pear, citrus, those floral notes, and the finish should be clean, crisp, making you want to take another sip.
I get why Prosecco is so popular. It's just so friendly, easy to enjoy. And speaking of enjoying it, let's talk food. What are some dishes that really sing with Prosecco?
Oh, the great thing about Prosecco is it's so versatile. You can sip it on its own, sure, but it also loves to hang out with all kinds of food. For those lighter, drier Proseccos, like a Brut or extra dry, try it with appetizers, fresh seafood, salads, lighter pasta dishes, even spicy Asian food.
Yeah, the crispness and those bubbles would cut through richer flavors, refresh your palate.
Exactly. And if you're going for a slightly sweeter dry Prosecco, it's fantastic with desserts, fruit tarts, or creamy dishes. The sweetness plays off those richer flavors without being too much.
Okay, note to self, always have Prosecco on hand for the next party. But before we move on, I'm curious about those less common Glera wines, the still and lightly sparkling ones we mentioned earlier. What makes them different? And where can people even find them?
Ah, those are the hidden gems of the Glera world. Still Glera, sometimes called Glera Tranquillo, shows off the grape's personality without those bubbles. They often have a crisp minerality and those classic fruity notes, a nice change from other white wines.
So it's like experiencing Glera in its purest form.
Mhm.
That's cool. And what about the lightly sparkling ones, the Frizzante style?
Glera Frizzante gives you a little bit of fizz, adds a touch of fun. It's perfect if you like bubbles but want something a little more laid back than a full-on Prosecco.
Sounds perfect for a casual hangout or brunch. But I'm guessing these aren't as easy to find.
You're right, they can be a bit harder to track down. They're gaming fans, but they're still kind of niche. You might have better luck at specialty wine shops or directly from smaller producers who love showing off all the things Glera can do.
Good to know. I'll be on the lookout for those hidden Glera treasures. Now let's talk business. What's behind Prosecco's global takeover? What are the key ingredients in its success story?
Prosecco's rise to fame is a fascinating tale. It's like all the right things came together at the right time. First off, it's just plain delicious. Refreshing, appeals to a wide range of tastes.
It's like the gateway drug to sparkling wine.
Yeah.
Not as intimidating as some champagnes can be.
Exactly. Approachable, fun, perfect for any occasion. And speaking of occasions, that versatility is a big part of its success. It works just as well at a casual brunch as it does at a fancy gala.
So true. Prosecco just fits in everywhere. And I think its price helps too. A taste of luxury that doesn't break the bank.
You're absolutely right. People are looking for value, and Prosecco offers that an affordable indulgence. And let's not forget marketing. The Prosecco region has done an amazing job building a brand, promoting their wines worldwide.
They've captured that Italian spirit, the joy of life, the celebration. It's all there in their campaigns.
Totally. And that linked to Italy. With its beautiful landscapes, rich culture, delicious food, it adds to the appeal.
It's the whole package. But even with all this success, there must be challenges facing the Glera and Prosecco industry, right?
Right.
What are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Oh, definitely. Like with anything you grow, sustainability is huge. As demand keeps booming, there's pressure to make more and more Prosecco, and sometimes that can lead to cutting corners on environmentally friendly practices.
So it's about keeping that balance,
Yeah.
meeting global demand without harming the planet or the communities involved.
Exactly. And another challenge is keeping quality high as demand rises. It's tempting to focus on quantity over quality, but that could hurt Prosecco's reputation in the long run.
So Glera producers need to stick to those high standards that made Prosecco a star in the first place. What are some ways they're tackling these challenges?
Well, awareness is growing. People in the Prosecco region understand that sustainability is vital. More and more producers are adopting practices like integrated pest management to reduce chemical pesticides and water conservation measures to protect precious water resources.
And those certifications we talked about, like organic, fair trade, and SQNPI, those are a good sign, right? They show that a winery is serious about doing things the right way.
Exactly. They offer transparency and accountability, giving consumers confidence that the wineries they're supporting are committed to responsible practices. And beyond just the environment, there's a growing focus on social responsibility too.
So that's things like fair working conditions, supporting local communities, making sure the region benefits economically.
Absolutely. Recognizing that Prosecco's success depends on the well-being of both the people and the land.
Now I'm thinking about the future. What trends and innovations are shaping the Glera scene?
One of the most exciting things is the rise of Prosecco Rosé. It's pretty new to the Prosecco family. They add a little Pinot Noir to the mix, and you get this gorgeous pink bubbly that's, well, it's taken off.
I have to admit, I'm a big fan of Prosecco Rosé myself. It's just so pretty and tasty. What else is on the horizon for Glera?
There's a growing interest in Prosecco Superior, which showcases Glera from those prestigious Conegliano Valdobbiadene and Asolo DOCG areas. They're all about expressing the terroir. These wines offer more complexity, structure, and aging potential. They take Prosecco to a whole new level.
So it's like exploring the nuances of Glera in its most refined form. Fascinating. Any other innovations in the pipeline?
Well, there's a growing interest in lower alcohol and even alcohol-free Prosecco. It reflects a broader shift toward more mindful drinking, enjoying drinks throughout the day without the effects of alcohol.
So people want that celebratory feeling of Prosecco without the guilt or the hangover.
Exactly. And producers are listening. They're experimenting with new ways to create delicious, refreshing Prosecco alternatives that are lower in alcohol or completely alcohol-free.
I love that. It's about making Prosecco accessible and enjoyable for everyone. What other trends are you seeing in the Glera world?
Another trend gaining traction is Glera in cocktails. As Prosecco becomes more mainstream, it's only natural that bartenders are starting to play with it, creating fun and delicious cocktails with Prosecco as the base.
It's like the Aperol Spritz effect.
Hmm.
That drink introduced Prosecco to a whole new crowd and opened up a world of possibilities.
Exactly. And now we're seeing all these creative Prosecco cocktails popping up in bars all over the world, showing off how versatile and mixable this bubbly can be.
Glera's breaking out of its shell, getting playful.
Mhm.
Any other exciting developments in the Glera world?
One of the most encouraging trends is the growing focus on organic and biodynamic viticulture. It shows that consumers are really interested in sustainability, transparency, and knowing where their food and drinks come from.
It's that whole vineyard to glass idea where people care about the environment and the people who make their wine.
Exactly. And as consumers get more knowledgeable and choosy, I think we'll see even more demand for Glera and Prosecco that meet these higher standards of sustainability and quality.
This has been so eye-opening. It's incredible how Glera, a grape we usually associate with simple, fun, bubbly, is actually so complex and versatile. But as we've been talking about, with success comes responsibility. What are your thoughts on the future of Glera?
I'm optimistic about Glera's future. It's a grape with tons of potential, and the industry is adapting to the challenges of sustainability and quality. But Glera's future doesn't just depend on the producers, it depends on us too, the people who drink it.
That's what I was just thinking.
Mm.
So what can we do as
Yeah.
individuals to make sure Glera and Prosecco keep thriving? Give me some actionable steps.
The first thing is to be a conscious consumer. Educate yourself about Glera, where it comes from, the different styles of Prosecco, and how different wineries make it.
So do your homework and choose your Prosecco carefully. What are some specific things we should be looking for?
Look for those certifications we keep talking about, like organic, fair trade, SQMPI. They show that a winery is committed to doing things the right way for the environment and the community.
What about supporting local businesses? Does that make a difference?
Huge difference. If you can find wineries or shops that specialize in Glera and Prosecco, buy from them. Supporting small businesses and local producers helps spread the benefits of Prosecco's success.
And of course, spread the Glera love. Tell your friends, get them excited about it.
Exactly. Host a Prosecco party, show off the different styles and regions, start conversations about sustainability.
Create a ripple effect. The more people who appreciate Glera and everything that goes into making it, the brighter the future for this amazing grape.
Okay, let's unpack those Prosecco styles.
Yeah, I'm ready. But before we get there, something's been on my mind ever since we talked about those DOCG labels.
Yeah.
Conegliano Valdobbiadene. Those are the hillside vineyards, right? Like, I remember that from other deep dives.
He's got a great memory. That's right. And that's a big part of what makes Prosecco Superior, the wines from those DOCG areas, so special. Hillside vineyards, that's a lot of work, mostly done by hand. It's not easy to use machines on those slopes.
So there's even more like care and attention that goes into those grapes. Each bottle almost has a little bit of that extra effort in it. Okay, now I'm ready for that sensory journey. What should I be looking for when I taste Prosecco?
All right, picture this. You're pouring a glass. What do you see?
Okay, I'm seeing a pale straw yellow color, maybe a hint of green, kind of like a spring meadow. And of course, those lovely bubbles just rising up endless.
Perfect. Those fine, persistent bubbles, that's classic quality Prosecco. That's what gives you that lovely, delicate fizz. Okay, now bring the glass to your nose. What are you smelling?
Oh, yeah. I'm getting a burst of fresh fruit, green apple, pear, a touch of white peach, maybe, and underneath that, some floral notes, like a hint of honeysuckle or acacia.
You're right on the money. Those are the classic Prosecco aromas. Depending on the specific style and how the winemaker made it, you might also find some citrus, melon, almond, even a little toasted bread.
Okay, and now, the best part,
Yeah.
the taste. What should I expect?
Prosecco's known for being light and refreshing, with this lively acidity that balances out any sweetness. You'll usually taste those same things. We smelled green apple, pear, citrus fruits, those floral notes. And the finish should be clean, crisp, leaving you wanting more.
I can definitely see why it's so popular. So approachable and easy to drink. Speaking of enjoying it, let's talk food pairings. What kind of dishes go well with Prosecco?
One of the best things about Prosecco is how versatile it is. Sure, you can enjoy it on its own, but it also loves to pair up with all sorts of food. For those lighter, drier Proseccos, like the Brut or Extra Dry, I love them with appetizers, fresh seafood, salads, lighter pasta dishes, even spicy Asian food.
Yeah, I can see that. The crisp acidity and the bubbles would cut through richer flavors, clean the palate.
Exactly, and if you're going for a slightly sweeter dry Prosecco, it can be wonderful with desserts, fruit tarts, creamy dishes. The sweetness of the wine complements those richer flavors without being overpowering.
Got it. Mental note, always have some Prosecco around for the next dinner party. But before we move on, I have to ask about those less common Glera expressions, the still and lightly sparkling ones we mentioned earlier. What sets them apart, and where can people even find them?
Those are the hidden treasures of the Glera world. Still, Glera wines, sometimes labeled as Glera Tranquillo, showcase the grape's true character without the bubbles. They tend to have this crisp minerality and those characteristic fruity notes, making them a delicious alternative to other white wines.
Oh, interesting. So it's like experiencing Glera in its purest form. What about the lightly sparkling ones, the Frizzante style?
Glera Frizzante, that's a fun one. It gives you just a touch of fizz, add a little playfulness. It's perfect if you enjoy a bit of sparkle, but prefer something a bit more mellow than a full-fledged Prosecco.
Sounds like a great option for a casual get-together or maybe brunch. But I'm guessing these aren't as easy to find.
Yeah, they can be a bit trickier to track down. They're gaining popularity, but they're still relatively niche. You might have better luck at specialty wine shops or directly from smaller producers who are passionate about showcasing Glera's versatility.
Good to know. I'll definitely keep an eye out for those hidden Glera gems. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the business side of things. What are the key factors behind Prosecco's global success? Why is it so popular all over the world?
It's a great question. Prosecco's rise to stardom is a fascinating story, really. I think it's a combination of factors that all came together perfectly. First and foremost, it's just a delicious and refreshing drink. It appeals to a lot of different palates.
Yes, it's like the gateway to sparkling wine. It's not as intimidating as some champagnes can be.
You got it. It's approachable, fun, and it works for any occasion. And speaking of occasions, that versatility is another big reason for its success. Prosecco's just as at home at a casual brunch as it is at a fancy black tie event.
True. Prosecco seems to fit in everywhere. And I think its affordability plays a big role too. It's a way to experience luxury without spending a fortune.
Absolutely. People are always looking for value, and Prosecco delivers that. It's an affordable way to treat yourself. And let's not forget about marketing. The Prosecco region has done an incredible job of building a strong brand and promoting their wines globally.
They've really captured that Italian joie de vivre, that sense of celebration and good living in their marketing.
Exactly. And that association with Italy, a country known for its beautiful landscapes, its rich culture, and its amazing food, only adds to Prosecco's appeal.
It's the whole package. But even with all that success, there must be challenges facing the Glera and Prosecco industry, right?
There are. Like any agricultural product, sustainability is a major concern. As demand for Prosecco keeps growing, there's pressure to produce more, which can sometimes lead to compromises in terms of environmental practices.
It's that balance again, isn't it? Meeting the world's thirst for Prosecco while also protecting the environment and the communities involved.
Exactly. And another big challenge is maintaining quality as production increases. It's easy to prioritize quantity over quality, but that could end up hurting Prosecco's reputation in the long run.
So it's crucial that Glera producers hold on to those high standards that made Prosecco so successful in the first place. How is the industry addressing these challenges? What are they doing to ensure a sustainable future for Prosecco?
Well, there's definitely a growing awareness of the importance of sustainability in the Prosecco region. We're seeing more and more producers adopting practices like integrated pest management to reduce the use of chemical pesticides and water conservation measures to protect that precious resource.
And those certifications we talked about earlier, like organic, fair trade, and SQNPI, those are a good way for consumers to identify producers who are going the extra mile, right?
Absolutely. Those certifications provide transparency and accountability. They give consumers confidence that they're supporting wineries that are committed to doing things the right way. And beyond just the environment, there's a growing emphasis on social responsibility, too.
So that means things like fair working conditions, supporting local communities, and making sure the region benefits economically from Prosecco's success.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the success of Prosecco depends on the well-being of both the people and the land.
Okay, now I'm curious about the future. What trends and innovations are shaping the Glera scene? What's next for this versatile grape?
One of the most exciting developments is the rise of Prosecco Rosé. It's relatively new to the Prosecco world, but it's already making a splash. They add a touch of Pinot Noir to the blend, and it creates this beautiful pink bubbly with delicate fruity
I'll
flavors.
admit I'm a big fan of Prosecco Rosé. It's just so pretty and delicious. What else is on the horizon for Glera?
We're also seeing growing interest in the Prosecco Superior category. These wines really showcase the unique terroir of Glera from those prestigious Cangalliano Altobiadene and Essolo DOCG areas. They offer more complexity, structure, and aging potential, taking Prosecco to a whole new level of sophistication.
So it's like exploring the nuances of Glera in its most refined form.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. What other innovations are in the works?
Well, there's a growing demand for lower alcohol and even alcohol-free Prosecco. This reflects a larger trend toward mindful drinking and a desire for beverages that can be enjoyed throughout the day without the effects of alcohol.
So people want to enjoy the celebratory spirit of Prosecco without the guilt or the hangover.
Exactly. And producers are responding to this demand by developing new techniques to create delicious and refreshing Prosecco alternatives that are lower in alcohol or completely alcohol-free.
I love that. It's about making Prosecco accessible to everyone. What other trends are you seeing in the Glera world?
Another trend that's gaining momentum is the use of Glera in cocktails. As Prosecco becomes more popular, it's natural that bartenders and mixologists are experimenting with it as a base for creative and delicious cocktails.
It's like the Aperol Spritz effect all over again. That iconic cocktail introduced Prosecco to a whole new audience and really showed off its versatility.
You're exactly right, and we're seeing more and more innovative Prosecco cocktails popping up on bar menus worldwide. It's really exciting to see how mixable and versatile this bubbly can be.
Glera is definitely stepping out of its traditional role and showing off its playful side. Any other noteworthy developments happening in the Glera industry?
One of the most encouraging trends I'm seeing is the increasing focus on organic and biodynamic viticulture. This reflects a growing awareness among consumers about sustainability, transparency, and the importance of knowing where their food and drinks come from.
It's all about that vineyard to glass connection. People want to know that the wines they're enjoying are produced in a way that respects the environment and the people who made them.
Precisely. And as consumers become more educated and discerning, I think we'll see even greater demand for Glera and Prosecco that meet these high standards of sustainability and quality.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's amazing to think that Glera, a grape we often associate with simple, celebratory bubbly, is actually so complex and versatile. But as we've discussed, with success comes a certain level of responsibility. What are your final thoughts on the future of Glera?
I'm optimistic about the future of Glera. I really am. It's a grape with incredible potential, and the industry is evolving to meet the challenges of sustainability and quality head-on. But the future of Glera doesn't just depend on producers, you know? It depends on us, the consumers, as well.
That's what I was just thinking. So what can we do as individuals to make sure Glera and Prosecco continue to thrive? What are some concrete steps we can take?
The first and most important thing is to be a conscious consumer. Educate yourself about Glera, its origins, the different styles of Prosecco, and the production practices of different wineries.
So do your research and choose your bottles carefully. What are some specific things to look for?
Keep an eye out for those certifications we talked about earlier, like organic, fair trade, and SQNPI. Those certifications are a good indication that a winery is committed to environmental and social responsibility.
And what about supporting local businesses? Does that make a difference?
It makes a huge difference. If you can find wineries or wine shops that specialize in Glera and Prosecco, buy from them. Supporting small businesses and local producers helps to ensure that the benefits of Prosecco's success are shared more broadly.
And of course, we can always spread the Glera love. Share what we've learned with friends and family, encourage them to think about where their wine comes from, maybe even host a tasting to explore different styles and producers.
I love that idea. Turn learning into an experience. And if you ever have the opportunity to visit the Prosecco region, I highly recommend it.
I can only imagine how amazing it would be to walk through those hillside vineyards, meet the producers, and taste Prosecco right where it's made.
It's an experience that will change how you view this wine. You see firsthand the passion and the hard work that go into every step of the process.
It's about making a connection, not just with the drink itself, but with the people and the place that created it.
Beautifully said. And that connection is what makes conscious consumption so rewarding. It transforms something as simple as enjoying a glass of bubbly into a way of supporting a culture, a tradition, a way of life.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. I feel like I have a whole new level of respect for Glera, the grape that's often overshadowed by its famous sparkling offspring.
It's a grape that deserves its time in the spotlight, and I think that as more people learn about Glera's versatility, its complexity, and the stories behind it, we'll see a Glera renaissance that goes way beyond just the Prosecco we know and love.
I'll drink to that. Cheers to Glera, to conscious consumption, and to the power of knowledge to enhance our enjoyment of the things we love.
Sinsen, and to all our listeners, until next time, may your glasses be filled with delicious discoveries.
It feels like we've barely scratched the surface of all things Glera. I'm already thinking about my next bottle. But you touched on something really important. It's not just about what we drink, but how we approach it as consumers.
You're so right. I think it's easy to get caught up in the fun, Prosecco, it's celebratory, but we can forget the bigger picture.
Yeah, like there are real people, real places behind every bottle we open.
Exactly. And as more people want Prosecco, there's that risk that we start focusing on quantity, not quality, or that we forget about the impact on, well, the environment, the people involved.
So what can we do as Prosecco lovers to make sure we're enjoying it responsibly, supporting the good practices, all that?
Mindfulness, that's where it starts. When you're picking out your next bottle, stop for a second. Think about where it came from. Where was it made? What's the winery like? Do they care about sustainability? That kind of thing.
Those certifications, right?
Yeah.
The organic, fair trade, SQMPI, those are all good clues.
Absolutely. They give you that transparency, some peace of mind. And don't be shy. Ask questions at your wine shop or even reach out to the winery itself.
Love that. Turn our curiosity into action. Okay, so we're choosing carefully. What else can we do?
Think about how you actually enjoy the Prosecco. Take your time, savor it, really appreciate the aromas, the flavors. It's like a way of respecting all the work, all the passion that went into making that bottle.
It's like slowing down, experiencing the whole journey from the vineyard to, well, our glass.
Exactly. And that appreciation, it can even be in how we talk about Prosecco. Share your knowledge with friends, get them curious about where their wine comes from, maybe even do a little tasting, explore different styles, producers, all that.
Ooh, I like that. Like a blind tasting, everyone tries to guess the region or how it was made just from the taste.
That's a great idea. Make it fun and experience. And if you ever get the chance, visit the Prosecco region itself.
Oh, I can only imagine. To actually walk through those hillside vineyards, meet the winemakers, taste the Prosecco right there where it's born.
It's truly special. You really understand the level of care, the dedication that goes into each and every step.
It's about that connection, not just with the drink itself, but with the people, the place, the whole story behind it.
That's beautifully put. And that connection, that's what makes conscious consumption so rewarding. It's taking something simple, a glass of bubbly, and turning it into, well, a way to support a whole culture, a tradition.
This deep dive has been amazing. I have so much more respect for Glera now. It's not just about the bubbles. It's so much more than that.
It really is. And I think as more people realize that, as they learn about how versatile it is, complexity, the stories, we'll see a whole new era for Glera. Something that goes way beyond, well, the Prosecco we think we know.
All cheers to that.
Yeah.
To Glera, to mindful drinking, and to learning more about the things we enjoy.
Sense it. And to everyone listening, until next time, keep those glasses full of delicious discoveries.